Good evening. The League of Women Voters of the White Bear Lake area welcomes you to this forum for candidates running for mayor and city council of Lake St. Croix Beach. This forum is not open to the public nor being live streamed, but is being recorded and may be viewed on our YouTube channel and Facebook page within 2 days. I am Diane Dahl, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, White Bear Lake area. I do not reside in Lake St. Croix Beach. I will be moderating this forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization which encourages citizens to participate in government. Our mission is to support voter education and voters' rights. Though the League studies and takes positions on certain issues, it does not support nor oppose any candidate or political party. Our goal is to encourage citizens to learn more about the positions of the candidates who will be on the ballot on November 8th. All candidates registered for this race were invited to participate. There are 2 candidates for mayor, and with us this evening is Cindy J. Ryder. Tom McCarthy was unable to attend. For city council, you have 5 candidates, and with us this evening are 4. Dawn Boulera, Alexander Eder, Tim Schneider, and David Walnes. Noah Blue Sky was unable to attend. The questions were received in advance and were screened by the League to assure that they are relevant to this forum, applicable to all the candidates, and not personal in nature. Similar questions may have been combined. All questions become the property of the League. Our forum will be 45 minutes in length. We will start out with questions, that is, no opening statements, and you will have 1 minute to answer if needed, but you do not need to use the entire minute. A warning will be given with 30 seconds, 15 seconds remaining, and when time is called, you may finish your sentence. The first question will be asked of the candidates in alphabetical order, and after that in random order. If you like, you may have 1 minute for addition or clarification or rebuttal after everyone has answered the question, and if so, simply raise your hand and I'll call on you. If it seems like I'm not seeing you, give me another wave. Closing remarks will also be 1 minute in length, and they will go in reverse order. I have 15 possible questions, but I'll watch the time to make sure that we have time for the closing remarks. So stopping about 7:05 or so to go on to the closing statements. So now let's begin with the first question. And the first question will go first to Dawn Boulera. What do you like best about Lake St. Croix Beach? What do you think could be improved upon?
Well, I grew up here, so when I left, went to college and moved out, I came back, I returned, because the 6 weeks of summer are the best of the entire year. And I live on the St. Croix River, so I can't beat that. What can be improved is our maintenance of the bluff land is lacking. We need to abide by the National Scenic Riverway regulations and guidelines, and we've been a little bit lax on allowing things to happen when they shouldn't be happening, because this is part of the federal government.
I see.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alexander Eder, same question.
So I am somewhat new to the Lake St. Croix Beach area, only being here in the area for about 5 years. But I definitely fell in love with the beauty that this town has being right on the river. And I think that's one of its greatest assets. And I would pretty much agree that my concerns lie in kind of the infrastructure of the city, especially along the riverway. So making sure that we are keeping the city beautiful and a wonderful place that's going to be here for many years is really important to me.
Thank you. Cindy Ryder.
Okay, the best thing I think about the city is all the natural amenities. I mean, even the birds, the silence, the sky at night, and all of that along the river. This is probably one of the best places to live in the state. I guess I can't imagine living anywhere else at this point in time. I've been here for 30 years. We came and we never left. And what I do observe about the city is people that do leave seem to always come back.
Thank you. Tim Schneider.
For me, the best part about Lake St. Croix Beach is the environment, just nature, being right on the river, our opportunities for recreation like fishing, running on trails, biking, in the winter ice fishing, doing some sledding around the area. Those are all things that I love. I love the neighborhood and how, especially where in our area of the city, we're close to each other and we talk to each other, and it's different than other places I've lived in my life before. I've lived in Milwaukee, Minneapolis, grew up in Onalaska, Wisconsin, and so just a really cool place to be. Ways we can improve, I feel like beach safety could improve. Obviously, any death is too many on the beach, and we want to be safe there and keep people visiting safe. And opportunities for youth, we want to make sure we have those as our community continues to grow.
Thank you. David Wanless.
The best part I like is we're kind of still part of the metropolitan area, even though we're just kind of like just on the outskirts of it. And there's very little activity down here most of the time. And I think that we need to work more on the environment down here. Like we can improvements with the river, reestablishing any available areas we can do, get them back into their native state. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So the next two questions will be in the area of city services. And first, we'll go to Tim Schneider this time. The city council's chief responsibility is to set strategies for the city. What strategic initiatives would you push for?
One of the biggest things that I'm going to push for, if elected, is really focusing on beach safety. Like I said before, we want to make sure everyone's safe at the beach, and people who are visiting our community are respecting the citizens and the people who live here 24/7. And I really want to have more opportunities for youth. As a father of a 7-year-old girl, I have friends in the neighborhood who also have children, and sometimes because we're a smaller community, we don't have as many things right here in Lake St. Croix Beach, but we can do a lot of things with minimal to no cost, using the neighbors we have here and the people who know how to do things like music, fishing, gardening, working with wood, all of those kind of things. We can have lots of opportunities for youth in our community, and that'll also help bring our community closer together.
Okay, thank you. Alexander Eder.
I think the Lake St. Croix Beach area is a wonderful place to live, and we have a lot of wonderful resources and opportunities along the beach. But I think it's really important for us to get and make sure that everything is understood in easy fashion. There's opportunities for improvements on signage and just policies for the wonderful facilities that we have to make sure that our beaches are staying safe. Our parking regulations are being enforced and followed on a regular basis. We've all had people parked outside of our houses in this neighborhood. So making sure that we are clearly posting information publicly out on the streets, by the beach, making sure that our website is updated and accurate so that everybody that comes and lives here and enjoys any of our facilities understands all the rules and making sure that they are followed.
Thank you. Okay, Cindy Ryder.
Okay, the city is, by nature, the service provider for a lot of things such as snow removal, park maintenance, maintenance of our bluff and river, that's been mentioned before. I think that we should be probably building the community a little better, as others have mentioned, like for families and kids. I think in that vein, we could probably be using the city hall We have kind of a large city hall, and we could be using that even for like community gatherings, craft nights for kids. Even a couple things that were mentioned a couple years ago is putting a screen on outside of the building and having a movie night. Another issue is for services. We should get our ordinances online so people understand what they need to follow.
Thank you. David Wanless.
I'm just kind of going to go off of one of the other members here that, yeah, we got a lot of people that are really, I'd have to say, capable of a lot of different things in this community to get things done. And we could find out a way to maybe get the information out there to other citizens, that we could kind of have a little more close-knit community. We can have more people kind of work with the people in our community and kind of keep everything more local.
Okay. Don Bulera.
Thank you. The general consensus is community building. We need to work on our intentional interaction with the community. We need to work on boosting, sharing of the power, invite residents to be involved, acknowledging their knowledge and their talents and the momentum, because there are two people here that are new to the community and they have momentum and they want to see improvements, change, and help with that. And also the safety and the security, enforcing speed limits and enforcing the ordinances that we have put in place to make sure that our city is safe and secure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question will go first to Alexander Eder. Do you see a need to change the city's data request policy or to change how city staff handle public data requests?
I think, as I mentioned, there is a lot of work that our city can do to make sure that all of our policies and procedures are updated and more clearly written and shared with the residents and the people that visit our wonderful town of Lake St. Croix Beach.
Okay, Don Bulera?
Yes, there's a lot of improvement with that. Right now, I believe we have 5 days, as a city, we have 5 days to respond in some way or another. And the data that has been requested that I have seen has been a little bit lacking for clear, concise, or even the specific issue that someone has requested data about. We're just there's some missing link. Thank you.
Interesting. David Wanless.
There has been a bit of a lapse in that. I've made requests and there's been a kind of a delay on those things, but and how they go about correcting that issue, I mean, we can go through the state apparently if we want to pursue it more, if we are having a problem with it. So that's one option. But yeah, there really needs to be improvement on that area.
Okay. Tim Snyder?
Personally, I don't know exactly what the policy is at the moment. I do think, just judging by the people who I've talked to about trying to get, filling out data request forms for the city, is that it should be easier, more transparent, especially, with people trying to build things. I had a friend who was trying to build a fence. He got one piece of information and all of a sudden the information changed and wasn't sure if that was because they found out something else or if there was an old person who used to work on the city planning board that had talked to someone else. And so I just think transparency is really important and just being more straightforward so we know, really what is what and so we can get the right information to people in the community.
Okay, thank you. Cindy Ryder.
Yes, I should have a little disclaimer here. I am a city clerk, and by state statute, that is the responsible authority for data practice requests. It is a limited time period in which the city clerk needs to respond to those requests. I have more than once, or even 3 times, heard that there are delays in getting the information back to the requester. The way I feel that would be the appropriate way to remedy the delayed requests is for the responsible authority, which is typically the city clerk, to report to council when the requests come in and when they go out. So it would be kind of a tracking log as to where actually the data practice requests are on a time frame.
Okay. The next two questions are in the area of spending. And the next one is going to go first to David Wanless. What experiences have you had that will help you as a city council member carry out your financial oversight responsibilities?
Well, I am retired, but I was a business owner, and I mean, that seemed to, I've never had really financial troubles in my area of business. But when it comes to working with the city funds, I guess we'll work together with the other members of the city, and we'll have our discussions. And I guess try to spend the money most fiscally we can.
Okay. Next to Tim Snyder.
I don't have a large business, but I do some lawn care and work for some people around the neighborhood. And so just dealing with having a budget for that kind of side business that I run has helped me kind of, realize, you have to really pay attention to what's coming in and what's going out, and planning not just for now, but into the future. You want to have money in the pot for later too. You never know what's going to come up, whether that be storms, flooding. Lots of things can happen with climate change going on as we know it. And so I just think being really deliberate with spending and being sure we're making the right decisions as we craft a budget, and working again with the fellow city council members to make sure we have the best budget possible.
Okay, thank you. Don Bulera.
Well, I've gone through a few budget meetings, and I have to say that I was kind of a little lost the first year because it was my first year. And so it was a little bit overwhelming. And at the first 2 years, it was more of, oh, yep, I trust the bookkeeper or the treasurer. I trust them, and I trust the staff. So you know what? This should be fine. And there was no, it wasn't, an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour meeting. It was very short and sweet, half hour prior to a council meeting. I mean, it was very short. So we didn't go through line by line. The last 2 years, we have gone line by line, which I felt was much more thorough and better suited to our needs, because we have a limited income, because we have no room for growth. We have no businesses hardly. We don't. So I think that we need improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexander Eder.
In terms of financial experience, I have quite an extensive history. My full-time profession is as a hospitality manager, so managing large-scale hotels, restaurants, and banquet and event centers with responsibility to large amounts of employees and multi-million-dollar properties. I also do a lot of volunteer work through different boards and organizations, one of them being the American Cancer Society Relay for Life, being responsible for budgeting and finance and fundraising, the CVB and Discover Stillwater, the board for a local theater company, and many other nonprofit and for-profit organizations. And just really understanding the budgeting, like I said, with the nonprofits, understanding when there's little money to be had, making sure that it's spent wisely, and being able to communicate that to the people that need to know where the money is going.
Thank you. And lastly, to mayoral candidate Cindy Ryder.
Although, once again, I better put a little disclaimer out there. I have been a city treasurer in 2 cities, so I do understand budgeting, the budgeting process and the levy pretty thoroughly. I also recently retired from an HR and accounting position, and that was when COVID started. So it's been a couple of years, but I'm back into the budget and levy process at the city level, and I am insistent on going through that budget line by line. We, as the council, as council members, we need to know where our money is being spent, where it's coming in, and how we allocate it for our different services and needs. So therefore, I think that the best way to do the budget, and I as mayor would lead that to get the council to understand line by line is the best way for our taxpayers.
Thank you. Next question goes first to you, Cindy Ryder. Also in the area of spending, if elected, what are your spending priorities?
I believe that our largest asset is our roads, and I walk our dogs, and there are some streets that are in need of attention. We do have a capital improvement plan, and it projects what streets are gonna be done when, but I do know that sometimes you have to shift, and you'll shift a street that needs to get done, or maybe a street that really shouldn't get done. So I am one to look at our plan. I am one to believe that council members need to get out and look at the streets. So when they have a question for our engineer on when those streets are getting done or why the streets are not getting done, I think the council members need to understand that. They need to understand where our money is coming from and how we allocate it to those roads.
Thank you. Question goes next to Tim Snyder.
I think one of the biggest things with spending is to make sure it's a balanced budget. We can't be affording to go in the red at all. Another thing is to cut waste, so we don't have some spending that maybe isn't as useful as maybe it had been in the past. I do agree with Cindy on the roads. It's a really important thing. As someone who runs and bikes, I kind of know just from experience which ones are a little bit harder than others, and I think that's really important to have the roads in good condition, especially in the winter. One priority that I would want to do is to just get a little bit maybe into an upstart of the opportunities for youth, having some different events, and it wouldn't have to be a ton of funding, but I think it's really important to get the community involved and get the community connected with each other, especially after COVID, just so we're a tighter-knit community.
Thank you. Alexander Eder.
I would 100% agree with the roads. Walking with my dog on a regular basis, I recently had a little bit of an accident with my bike with a unfortunately located pothole. So making sure that this is a safe place for every single person that comes. I don't want any cars dung up from these terrible roads that we can have in some spaces. So making sure that we're focusing on the infrastructure and leaving a really good a road for everybody to utilize. And I do also agree that community would be another area that I would look into spending. I come from the Stillwater area, which is one of the most popular locations in terms of community events. So I would bring a lot of expertise to the council to be able to financially create some really easy steps to making a wonderful community for us to all enjoy together.
Thank you. Don Bulera.
Thank you. I agree with everybody.
Making it easy.
Yeah. The roads are important. I mean, that's probably our biggest thing, just like Ms. Ryder said. But we also need to, instead of just thinking about where the money, like small city aid and different things, funding, we also need to think about how we use our roads. There have been in the past some ideas of having one-sided trash and recycle pickup. There has been information that you can do rain gardens so that you don't have standing water on your roads to, make them fall apart faster. We have to be more community-minded, reminding the residents that leaves and grass clippings don't belong in the street, because then we have more trucks going through and picking that all up when we don't need any more use of the roads, when we can alleviate some of these things and spend our money on positive things. Thank you.
Thank you. David Wanless.
Well, definitely the roads. I guess we could, I don't know, it's kind of hard to do any more building down in our area. I don't know how much city land we still have for any more like businesses possibility. I know we got a very limited amount of area for that. So I think, is there any chance if businesses do ever happen to leave, the few businesses we do have, that we could maybe get businesses to come in that are maybe more profit making, maybe get more people to come into the city, restaurants or whatever it is, to help with just people to get down here and maybe spend their money in our city and hopefully use it that way.
Okay, thank you. So the next few questions are in the area of city planning and development. And the first one is going to go to Cindy Ryder. How would you balance the short and long-term goals of the city?
Well, in regards to city planning and development, we are a fully developed community, so not too much opportunity to bring in any new development. Our main focus actually is our Riverway. We're in the National Scenic Riverway, as mentioned before by Councilmember Bolera, and that takes quite a bit of stewardship and getting the residents to understand that live along the river that there are some pretty stringent regulations. And it seems they don't like to hear the regulations, so I think we need to communicate with them the actual best results of following that National Scenic Riverway ordinance. So, as I said, we are a fully developed community, and it's really just taking care of what we have. And I eventually would like to hope that we can maybe get a first-time home buyers program from the city.
Thank you. Don Valera.
Councilmember Ryder hit it on the head. We have no room for growth. The only improvement that we might have would be, unfortunately, if somebody came in and tore down a nice little tiny cute cottage and built a really nice big house, so that maybe taxes would be higher. But basically, we have such an eclectic city that it's just nice to be nice the way it is, I think. And as Councilmember Ryder also led her, the National Scenic Riverway is our biggest draw. We have people, and we found in the last few years, since we were very limited on where people could go through COVID, we have a beautiful beach, and people from Maple Grove have shown up, to come to our beach. So we need to focus on improving our natural resources. Thank you.
Thank you. David Wanless.
Well, can you please repeat the question?
How would you balance the short and long-term goals of the city?
Short term, I think there's some things we could regulate in the city that I don't know, to me, it's somewhat of a detriment, a few of these things that are going on. And I think if we could at least get a handle on that, that'd be for the short term. And for the long term, I guess, like I said, if we can promote our riverway and have like stewards of the riverway who come down, or to understand we got a stewardship of the river, to let people understand the river a little more, that'd be very helpful.
Thank you. Tim Schneider.
I think short term for me is really just making sure the budget is balanced. We have the funds available for the things we need. Long term, kind kind of the same thing a little bit, but really moving our community into the future, focusing on things like, green energy, whether that's solar, things like that. Just really trying to promote kind of, things that are going to help us be sustainable as we move into the future. I think a lot of times, especially in small communities, we get a little bit short-sighted with, some of the things that are going to be coming down the pipe at us, as we go 20, 30 years into the future. So just making sure we don't fall behind on those things, I think will be important if elected.
Thank you. Alexander Eder.
So for a short time, as I mentioned, I'm in property management. And one of the first things that I do anytime I take over a new property, I really take stock of everything that is happening with the organization from top to bottom. And I think that's what our city needs to do at this time. We need to relook at a lot of the policies and ways that we are sharing the information with our citizens in the city area. And then once we have a better understanding of everything that we do and the way that we're spending things, then that can position us into a much better opportunity for marketing the wonderful Lake St. Croix Beach area that we all love and live in. So making sure that we are kind of tying all those loose ends and making sure that we have everything in line so that we can actually really push out Lake St. Croix Beach to the masses, because people love coming here.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to see, I'm watching the time, and I'm going to see if I should jump ahead.
Can I add something?
Yes, you can.
All right. I just wanted to just really point out my focus would be to help the citizens of our community. I know sometimes, because we live in a beautiful place that lots of people love to enjoy, we think of our community as, something to be, I guess, marketed. And so I just really wanted to, my view on the matter is we should make sure this is a place for us who live here first. And then, obviously we want others to enjoy it, but I want us to be careful with, treating it like a business.
Okay. Moving to the next question, I'm going to start with David Wanless. What is your opinion on allowing short-term property rentals such as Airbnb in Lake St. Croix Beach, and what would the city need to consider before implementing such a policy?
Well, I think it's all kind of based on the size of your city too, on how many are allowed. Well, they definitely have to be regulated, and which wouldn't be very hard to do. Like I said, it'd be probably a very, very few number of them in our city. So I don't think it'd be a problem. If there's any problem, I'm sure we could, they'd basically get their license or whatever taken away, and that'd be the end of it there.
Okay, Cindy Ryder.
Once again, I am that city clerk and zoning administrator, and in the other city I currently work for, we did hurdle this short-term rental situation for like Airbnbs or VRBO. And in St. Croix Beach, we know of at least 2 that are operating, and we don't have an ordinance against them, so they will be allowed to remain. However, we have in the past had situations where people just rented out their houses and it became a big party. And we have very limited parking here. In the summer, we don't allow any on-street parking on the east side of the county road. So to have these parties, and we have small lots, many 100 by 100. So that noise will carry once there's a group and they get into a party atmosphere. I think I will stop right there.
All right, Tim Schneider.
I am definitely against more Airbnbs or VRBOs. As someone who's currently renting long-term in the neighborhood, the more of those, it's harder to buy a house for those who want to live here for the long term. It also lessens the sense of community. People don't know their neighbors if new people are always there, and that's something I really think we want to build as the city of Lake St. Croix Beach. If they're having parties, people are having parties there, it increases crime and safety. I have a daughter who's 7 years old. I don't want anything to happen to her as she gets older that's, because someone's having a wild party because they're renting a house for the weekend. And I think lots of the families who I've talked to in the community agree with me 100% that that's just not something we need in our community. We see it in Duluth. We see it in places in Colorado where there's so many of those now. People don't even have a neighborhood anymore. They don't have a community, and we want to have that here.
Thank you. Don Bulera.
Well, I'm torn because I know that the two, and there might be three, but the two that we have in our city, they're very responsible landlords, and they're highly rated, and so I know they'll be grandfathered in. But I am torn in the sense that what is our limit and how are we going to decide that 5 is enough? Because our population is only 1150. So, 460 homes. Are 5 enough, or are 20, or what? The fact is that we don't know. And so that needs to be researched and discussed a lot longer than just in planning, but also not in the council, and the residents need to be involved in this and be told when these discussions are going to be happening.
Thank you. Okay, Alexander Eater.
Yeah. So as the hospitality professional in the group, I have a lot to say on this topic. I have served on the board for the CVB, the Local Convention and Visitors Bureau, in Stillwater, Minnesota, for many years. And the city collects a tax from all the hotel lodging properties, as well as the Airbnbs and VRBOs in the city. And that is what funds a lot of the wonderful, amazing community events that happen on a daily basis in Stillwater, Minnesota. And just the standpoint of bringing visitors into the area at these one-time rental properties, I would have never known about Lake St. Croix Beach if I did not have the opportunity to visit it. I visited Lake St. Croix Beach when there was a Segway tour guide company that came through. So as soon as I rolled my Segway down onto the bluffs down there by the edge of the water, I immediately fell in love with this city. And I told myself, this is where I'm going to live. And here later, I've bought a house here in Lake St. Croix Beach.
Okay, the next question, which may be our last question.
Can I add a little response?
Yes, you can. I didn't see
Okay.
your hand, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
I would like to add that I am in favor of Airbnb, or short-term rental, if it's regulated, if it's limited by number of properties that are allowed to do that, and also limited by number of days a year, and as well as limiting parking. We just are pretty constrained here, and there would have to be some considerable regulations.
Alexander Eater, did you have an addition?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a hospitality professional, if I was voted on to the city council, I believe that my experience with the CVB organization in Stillwater, Minnesota, and my daily work with the Airbnb companies, VRBO, and the hotel lodging companies, I would be in a really great position to help guide the Lake St. Croix Beach area into some really great regulations to ensure that we are doing it in the right way so that it can be beneficial to our town.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question is going to go first to Tim Schneider. Please give examples of how you have been able to work productively with those who do not share your opinions. How have you dealt with supporting decisions that you did not agree with?
I think the biggest thing for me is listening. I work as a kindergarten teacher in St. Paul. I have to work with everybody. I'm also the union steward. So I have to communicate with the principal a lot and the administration to come to common goals. And so even if it's something I'm not 100% on board with, I try to collaborate as much as I can. Even if it's not fully what I want to do, I try to get maybe a piece of what I like. And I try to understand that, other people have positive intent. They have good ideas. And I'm willing to listen. I know that I'm not always correct. I know as someone who's new to this whole thing, I might not always have the initial, choice that's the best for the community. So I'm willing to listen, I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to talk to our citizens so I make the right decisions.
Thank you. Alexander Eder.
Absolutely. I am very excited about the opportunity to be involved with the Lake St. Croix Beach City Council. With my work with the hospitality management, I come into a lot of new properties on a regular basis, and people have been doing things the way that they've done it for a very long time. And sometimes that way just isn't working anymore. And it's not easy to have to tell somebody the way they're doing something isn't right. And thankfully, with the time and the experience that I've received over my career, I've really found a great way to listen to people, hear their point of view, and learn from them so that we can adapt the new potential idea and move forward into the future together rather than being at odds with one another.
Thank you. Cindy Ryder.
Okay. It can be very, very hard to be in a productive nature, even though some people or sometimes some things don't seem quite supportive. But I think when you have a process that's clearly laid out and the concept of transparency is used and you listen, I think people will understand where you're coming from, or you will understand where they're coming from. Because this is government, we have a whole entire code book to follow, and many of the residents don't know what's in that code. So I think sharing it with them so they learn about it, and then a clear and thoughtful process to follow that code is key. And I will tell you that, well, I'm going to get the stop sign, so I'll stop right there.
David Wanless.
Well, I'm usually like to start out with a good discussion on it. I mean, I'll take my time. I'll listen to their side. And put my viewpoints in. I know I guess the biggest thing is that we need to listen to everybody's point of view on things, on different topics and subjects in our city, and maybe we can, if we get more input on it, that we can maybe come to a more clear decision in the end.
Okay. Don Valera.
Thank you. At this moment, the city is kind of going through one of those issues that we're having difficulties collaborating with. And so initially, I had a stance, but as you go through the city and discuss with the residents that you're representing, it kind of changes a little bit because you're looking at different sides and people bring up different options and different viewpoints. And so it's easier to collaborate when you have transparency so that the residents know, because there has been misinformation and then they're up in arms because their rights are being taken away when in fact if there was a change, it would be benefiting them, and they never had any rights because it was prohibited in the first place. So we need more transparency to discuss all these issues with our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to closing remarks, and we're going to go in reverse order. So David Wanless, you're first.
All right. Well, I've been a citizen here for 25 years in the city. I enjoy the river, the natural areas, and especially the peace and quiet down here. I'm running for council because I'm concerned about equality for all the citizens in our city. And right now, we've got a city government that's kind of accountable to itself, that needs to be changed. And there's a lot of improprieties that need to be looked into. There's things that get done in the city without our council's approval, and a lot of it's kind of hidden from our citizens, and really have no knowledge on a lot of it. Let's see there. I mean, there's no need for that kind of thing to be going on in our city. And hopefully we can elect leaders who will be more concerned with what's best for our citizens and not just a select few.
Thank you. Tim Schneider, closing statement.
I believe I'm the best candidate for city council due to the fact that I have a family in the community and I'm here for the long haul. I want to be here for a long time in the future. As a teacher, I have to get along with lots of people, students and adults, and so I know what it takes to work together for a common goal. As someone who runs and fishes in the community and skis, I realize that our riverway is one of our biggest assets, and protecting that going forward is going to be very, very important to me. I want to involve our youth and families so that we are a tight-knit community and that we know each other, we know our neighbors, and our children can grow up together and just value each other and the diversity that we have. And I look forward to working with anyone who wants to work with me and to listen when it's time to listen and learn things. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy Ryder.
Okay, in closing, I would like to ask for your vote. As mayor of Lake St. Croix Beach, many of you know that I am passionate about the business of municipal government, especially our city government. And some would probably say a little too passionate. But that process should be fair, transparent, equitable, and respectful to all taxpayers and property owners. My 20-plus years in municipal government, in positions such as city clerk, city treasurer, a zoning administrator, and locally as a flood volunteer coordinator, gives me a leg up on the leadership role as mayor of Lake St. Croix Beach and its council. So I truly believe listening, understanding, substance, and policy are the best way to build a community, and I would ask for your vote for the mayor of St. Croix Beach.
Thank you. Alexander Eater.
My name is Alex Eater. I'm a boy that moved here with my dog. I fell in love with the town on a Segway, and I bought a house here. And now I'm ready to serve this wonderful community. My youth and inexperience in the political world, I believe, are some of my greatest assets to the city. I am ready and eager to offer my time and talents to the city council. I come from Stillwater, which is one of the region's most popular tourist and community cities. My knowledge of building a tight-knit community and efficient business, I believe, will be really valuable to the city of Lake St. Croix Beach. I believe that my priorities, if elected to office, would be understanding a baseline of where we're at as a city and what we're able to do, and ensuring that we communicate that properly to the visitors as well as the residents that come to our city, and making sure that we are listening to them as we move to build forward into the future.
Thank you. Don Valera.
Thank you again. I want to thank the league for even hosting this, so I hope they didn't take my 5 seconds. The most valuable right is your vote. Elected officials should abide by a code of ethics, but sometimes that code gets forgotten. Due to many unforeseen events recently, many voices have been lost. It is our responsibility on this dais here to represent all voices in this city. My track record proves it. I show up. I've attended all council meetings and not missed one, most planning and park commission meetings, and when the county and state meetings are held regularly, I've attended many concerning the issues in our city. Community events are instrumental in constructing a solid foundation, and those events are also a priority. I'm also in hospitality and like to bring people together. The size of our city limits its financial growth, and financial grants are an important resource to us. I want to continue to work for more monies for infrastructure and green space. It is my hope to be re-elected to the city council, so I'm going to continue my work for you. I am making a commitment to the residents of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our forum for the evening. We thank all the candidates who participated and the audience for your interest. The forum may be viewed on the League of Women Voters YouTube channel by accessing our public website, lwv-wbla.org, and click on Voter Service and Candidate Forums, or on our Facebook page. And I want to remind you that voting day is November 8th, and early voting is available now. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.